Hi folks, welcome to Ben in 10. Today I'm going to talk about London. Let's talk about London pre-lockdown. You would have thought that in those good times, Sadiq Khan would have propelled London forward. He would have taken advantage of the economic health of the city to fulfill his agenda. What is his agenda? His agenda is to keep TfL working. Well, he left it at the beginning of lockdown, before the lockdown even started, effectively bust. Had he delivered Crossrail? No, that was due to open in 2018, but it's over budget and behind time. I think it's about 4 billion now forecast over budget, and he's missed out on 2 billion of revenue that he would have had it opened in 2018. What about housing? He's missed all his own self-imposed targets. And as far as security and policing of the city is concerned, knife crime was at record levels. That was before lockdown. And what's he achieved during lockdown? Well, naturally, TfL, having already been on its back, is absolutely crumbling. He's had to go cap in hand to the government to try and help him survive. And what has the government done? It's playing politics with TfL. It's told Sadiq to raise more money. And instead of pushing back, instead of finding innovative solutions to the problem, what Sadiq has chosen to do is levy extra charges on the hard-working people of London. He is raising the congestion charge, having gone from £11.50 to £15. He's increased the scope of its operations, now till 10 p.m. 7 days a week. He intends to increase the geographic zone of the charge to just about encompass everything within the A406. And what's worse is he wants to levy £5.50 on anyone who enters London. That's going to have a detrimental effect, not just on the workers in London, but all those people who live outside London and have to commute to London for their work. It's going to put strain on people who have families that partially live outside and inside London. It's economically daft and it's socially reprehensible. On top of that, he wants to increase tube fares. The tubes are already empty. You can't get blood out of a stone. Now, this is a statistic everyone needs to know. 18% of average wages in London go on transport. He is kicking Londoners in the shins. And remember, this is a regressive tax. It hits the lowest paid the hardest. It doesn't affect the wealthy. It affects the white van driver. It affects essential workers. It affects construction workers. It affects effectively all those who kept London going during the lockdown. So his payback for all those people who put their lives at risk, keeping London going forward, is to kick them in the financial shins. That's Sadiq Khan's idea of coping with lockdown. And let me tell you folks, it's going to be hugely damaging to London once lockdown ends. London needs to be open. London's whole economy turns on being open. Open not just to the United Kingdom, but open to the world. And Sadiq's vision of London is to draw up the bridges. Sadiq is worse than the Emperor Nero. At least Nero just sat back and played his fiddle while Rome burnt. In Sadiq's case, he's actually pouring fuel on the fire. The Labour Party's own Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury said this weekend that raising taxes now would be economically illiterate. She was right, but she hasn't told Sadiq Khan that. He is raising charges across London, as I've mentioned, but on top of that, he's raised the charge that he levies on councils by 9.5% on housing. That's from £332 a year to £363. The man, by his own party's admission, is economically illiterate. So what has Sadiq Khan spent his time doing during lockdown? Well, he set up a committee to review which statues in this great city should be brought down and which street names should be changed. Well, we know what his agenda is, because when BLM were protesting in breach of lockdown law, he supported their protest. This committee that he set up, by the way, at a cost of £250,000, is not a genuine review of the statues. It is a precursor for a further attack on the heritage of our great city and this country. For goodness sake, Sadiq, you've been found out. At best, you're asleep on the job. At worst, you hold this city in contempt. It is high time Sadiq went.